Alrighty. We are starting the third season of the Crecer book club. So our first book that we ever read was for brown girls with sharp edges and tender hearts. And now the second one we read was Think and Grow Rich. And actually, no, I think this is our fourth one. Oh, wow, we've read 4 books this whole entire year. It's amazing. And then we read Wealth Warrior by Linda Garcia. Sorry, my dog's over here playing. Hey guys, come on, leave. Now this 4th season, we're going to be reading Brag Better by Meredith Fineman and Master the Art of Fearless Self-Promotion. Now, if you haven't read the first full 3 chapters, don't worry. The third chapter is a lot of self-action and like self-reflection. So we're going to be covering the B word, why is bragging so hard, and be proud today. And again, this book, we all chose it. I like the collective because I think this is the theme in season, like learning how to brag better, learning how to master how to promote ourselves and, you know, share our wins without feeling small, without feeling like, oh my God, am I bragging too much? Or am I putting myself too much out there? Or am I showing off, right? Because I think, and hey, guys, give me one second. Sorry about that. It's because we have a puppy who's 8 months old and he loves to bother all the other dogs. And so he's a little annoying. No, but what I was saying is I feel like we're on the season of learning how to promote ourselves better in order to receive the opportunities we deserve without feeling that lack mentality, that scarcity mentality of we don't deserve it or we're not good enough or someone else is better than us and feeling that sense of envy or jealousy. So I'm glad that we all decided to choose the book Brag Better because this is gonna. If you've already read through the first 3 chapters, in the first 3 chapters, I applied this maybe 2 months ago, and I've already seen results. I've already seen a change in my mentality and a shift in what I want to achieve in my life, and promote myself. Because one of the things, and we'll get into more of the chapters here in a minute, but one of the things that I really want to work on is being able to share my story and my wins. Because one of the things she mentioned here on page 13 is you have to champion you. There is no one else who's going to be bragging better, more like there's no one else who's going to brag more about yourself than you. Like there's no one else. Hello, Miriam. How are you?
Hi, sorry I'm a little late.
No, we're just talking about the book and we chose it.
Her connection is a little bit rough.
Okay, I thought it was me. I was like, wait,
no.
because my laptop
I'm like
does
breathing.
that sometimes.
No, she's outside.
Am I back?
There, your voice
Can you hear
is.
me?
Yes.
Can you hear me and see me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So back to what I was saying. Hi, Miriam. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I hope you're doing well. I think you're freezing again.
Okay. No. Give me one second. Let's see if I can turn off my Wi-Fi. Can you hear me now? Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, let me move inside because I don't think the Wi-Fi is going to be working because of the rain. So give me one second.
Okay. Hi, Miriam. I'm Tanasha.
Hi, I'm Miriam. Nice to meet you.
You too. Have you done all of the book clubs? This is my first one.
Yes, mostly all of them, yeah.
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 All right. How are you liking the book so far?
I love it. This one, I'm on we're all on chapter 3, right? But
yeah,
It's a good start. I really enjoyed the last books we've read, so
Yeah.
I'm excited to like get into this one more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a great experience with all the books that we've read, so I like
Yeah.
it a lot. But yeah,
That's
it,
awesome.
is this your first book club meet? Like book with us?
Yes, this is
Okay.
my first book club meet, but when she was going through the books, I've read I have like everything that Amit Sethi does. So I've read I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I have Wealth Warrior and I need to read that. And then what was the first book? Brown Girls Tender Hearts. I've read that one.
Okay.
Or Sharp Edges. Yeah, that one's like really, really good. And I think just the second one I haven't read before. But yeah, that's why like when I saw like
Okay.
the listing of books, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be my jam.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool.
Okay, can you guys see me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we moved inside. I thought since the rain, it was like the connection like was not it. So hopefully now you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So yes, I would love to hear kind of what you guys are excited about within this book. I know for me, I was sharing with everybody that I'm just excited to be able to learn how to brand better within myself, because even as a Latina, sometimes I fear my abilities of speaking and showcasing my awards or my growth without feeling a little almost insecure, or that voice in the back of my head saying like, who are you to say that you've done that, or like that imposter syndrome. So
Mm.
I'm really excited to dive into this book with you guys, but I heard a little bit of mediums of why you're excited to read this book. So I would love to hear a little bit more of like how you guys have felt with the first 3 chapters.
If you want to continue, Miriam.
I don't know if she's still there.
Are we frozen? I think
Can you hear
it's
me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Hey,
Let's see.
Medium, are you there? Let's see if I can
Maybe
answer.
we're all taking turns on freezing. Am I next?
Yeah, I guess
Tis the
it might
season.
be next. It's
Tis
a
the
season.
season for freezing.
Yeah, Mercury
Yeah,
retrograde.
I'm super excited. As I was reading, I was excited. It kind of had me reflecting on like even like cultural trauma, right? I think we might have even like touched on this previously, but it's like it's super common in our culture to like bragging is bad. It's like, oh, like if we brag out loud, it's like, oh, you think you're all bad, or oh, you know, miss so and so, or this, that, and the other, or somebody always has it rough, or somebody in the family struggling. And so like, and that's kind of what takes center stage. And so you can't interject with like, oh, hey, like this awesome thing, or I just accomplished this. It's kind of like, how inconsiderate or selfish is that? It kind of I don't know. I don't feel like we're really empowered to brag about ourselves within our culture, and I feel like it's seen in a very negative context. Like when we do, it's kind of just, especially when you tie in like the whole like I forget the word for it, but it's kind of like survival guilt, right? Of doing better than
Yeah.
past generations. It's like that adds to it as well. It's like, oh, not only am I having a more privileged experience, but how am I going to go also sharing my wins and bragging about myself? Like talk about salt in the wound. So it's almost, I feel like in our culture, it's like a very, it's tied into like like generational respect, and like respect as a whole, of just like it's just not something that you do, and if you do, it's immediately assumed that it's negative. Other people can brag about you and your accomplishments. You just can't do it to about yourself.
Yeah, you hit like the nail on the head, because I think it's almost like a se cree la muy muy is the whole saying, right? Se cree la muy muy porque ella habla de esto y lo, so, you know, ella, I remember like people would be like, oh, you have degrees, so you're rich, right? And I'm like, or you have money, la la la, because you do this. I'm like, okay, like no, but yes, like I have achieved this, but I'm not as rich as you think I am, and I think why I so the first 3 chapters of this book is the be proud, like the basics of bragging better, and it's the B word, why is bragging so hard, and be proud is where we ended off at. And even in the first chapter she talks about like the 3 pillars, and this is on page 14. It's be proud, and this is you need it so that this goes beyond stating your achievements or promoting yourself within a work environment. You need to treat your accomplishments as the facts that they are. If you're not enthusiastic about your achievements, nobody else can be. And that got me right there. Like, if I'm not proud of myself for what I have achieved in my own life, how can I, like, who else can be as proud as me? You know what I mean? And that's what you were just saying, Tanasha. So I wanted to like share how like that exactly aligns with even our own cultural beliefs.
Yes.
I was going to say, Medium, are you back on?
Did you say if I was back on?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
there you are.
I was on Safari, and you know how that goes. I was like, wait, I need to use Chrome, and I forgot about that. So I switched over.
No, you're fine.
But yes. Let's see.
So I would love to know kind of like what you thought about like the first, like the foundations of the 3 pillars. So like be proud, be loud, and be strategic. Like, I don't know, how do you feel about the B word or the bragging in your life?
I feel like she's like telling us to like not be, I guess, ashamed to express our accomplishments and like say them out loud and like wear them on our wrists and stuff. But like I feel like for me, that's something that I'm really gonna have to work towards, because I still like it's not, and it's fine if it is like in your personality to like be that way, but like with me, I have family that I guess didn't really have or didn't really take on like opportunities that I did. And so it would still make me feel like I'm kind of rubbing stuff in their face. So I feel like I'd be more comfortable maybe in like a professional setting with other people that I can kind of relate with in that aspect. But as far as like with family and like maybe friends that didn't really have an opportunity to do something like me, like it would still be really hard. But I know that deep down, if they truly love and care for you, they won't see it as bragging. But for me and my personality, it's like, I know it's going to take some time. I can't just like read a book and then do it. I have to like, I guess, practice it until like I get comfortable.
Yeah.
But
Well, I just want to pause. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said it, but this is definitely giving me a lot of insight because, like she said, and I think it's chapter 3, not to get ahead, but if you heard like your friend list all of her accomplishments, like you wouldn't see it as bragging, but because it's you, it makes you feel a little bit like uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I just wanted to brag about you because she just passed her real estate exam, Miss Medium.
Thank you so much.
Wait, what did you just do?
I passed my real estate salesperson exam.
All right.
2 weeks ago. So yes.
Just sit in there, sit in that brag.
I know. Let me send out that brag. I'm gonna practice with y'all.
Yes.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm celebrating her is because we read 2 books ago, we read Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
And that was Medium's goal, was to pass the real estate exam. And that was like the beginning of the year. Yeah. So you really stayed consistent. And I just want to say I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. It means a lot coming from you, honestly. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm able to be a part of something like this, because then I'm able to share that and, know that people are rooting for each other in this community. So yes, thank you.
And then I just want to say Tanasha just got her job, and she starts on Monday. And so everyone has a lot of wins to celebrate.
Thank
today.
you. How did I literally just forget that? I was like, oh, okay, like we just talked.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, yes. I'm starting my new job. And it's a 15K increase from my last job that I had, so not too shabby. And yeah, I earned the shit out of it. So
Yes.
I'm
Amen.
excited.
Amen. Amen. And that's exactly what this book is about, is like everything that you've earned and accomplished, it's worth promoting. It's worth saying. It's worth
Yeah.
sharing. And like on page 16, it talks about like what does it mean to brag better. So I'm gonna read like the first, like the bold points of what bragging better is and what's bragging, what isn't. And we can kind of like deconstruct like what we relate with and like what triggered us or what came up for us when we were reading these little phrases. So what does it mean to brag better? Bragging better is using facts to shine and tell the truth about the work you've done. It's having confidence in yourself and your voice, not letting anxiety or self-consciousness get in the way. It's speaking up, not only when it matters, but also when it benefits those around you and helps raise all voices. It's having a practice delivery, whether online or offline, knowing that what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, and what you're going to do with it. And it's being concise and clear with your brags, coming up with a specific catchy vocabulary to describe yourself and your accomplishments. It's knowing who you are and how you want to be perceived. It's having clear goals for bragging, knowing where you want your brags to land, and having a firm grasp of what achieving these goals will mean for you in your career. It's making clear requests for others to promote you with intent and gratitude, being kind in your requests to help others help you, as well as guiding them through it. So that is what bragging is. And honestly, when I read through it the first time, like when I was first reading this book, I was like, I know this stuff, but it feels weird for me to say it out loud. Like it feels weird for me to say I'm bragging about myself, because I never wanted to be perceived as conceited or perceived as like she know it all or like la muy muy, like I was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that making clear requests for others to promote you with intent and gratitude is important. And that's like kind of what we did just now, is promote one another and our achievements and our wins, and without shame, right? Because we're grateful for each other. We're grateful for like promoting each other with no like, oh no, there's nothing, like it doesn't cost me to say, oh my God, Medium just passed her exams. She can now start her journey in pursuing, her real estate career now that she has her license. Tanasha now has her job and now she's earning more income where she can implement her financial goal strategy that she wants for her business. Amazing. Without any, like, it doesn't hurt me at no cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's exactly what I feel like I even need to ask for more requests of that. And I think I was telling you guys earlier there, I started reading this book a few months ago, and I've kind of started doing it like, hey, if you've worked with me, I would love your feedback, or I'd love for you to share it, or hey, give me a LinkedIn recommendation. I would love to get feedback from your experience working with me. And even if it was like for a mini project, I've gone out of my way and been like, I know it's been like a year since we worked on something together, but I'm trying to revamp my LinkedIn. And it felt so uncomfortable to ask people I haven't talked to in a while, but I know we're connected. Like, we had a good relationship. I want to ask someone that I didn't, but it felt uncomfortable because I was like, oh, like, who am I to ask somebody for help?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have anything that came up for them when they were starting to read what bragging is?
I love the highlight of when you brag for yourself, it's not just about yourself. Like the act of you bragging yourself gives permission to other women to do the same, right? It's like we don't know, like it's kind of like seeing is believing, right? If we're not seeing people doing it, we don't even know it's an option, right? Especially if we don't see people who look like us doing it, we definitely don't know that's an option. It's different if we were to see a bunch of white women doing it. It's like, okay, cool, I see that, but that doesn't necessarily roll out a red carpet for me to do it. It still has me scared, like, oh yeah, well, like she can, but where's the person who looks like me doing it? So I really like, one, that they did highlight, taking into consideration privilege, but also like there being a community here. Like as I'm reading it, knowing that it's coming through the you know, like a community of Latinas, it's like, yeah, wait, like anytime I do brag, if there's a woman of color around me, she's also going to see that as a runway to do the same, and that it's safe to do the same. So I really love that that was kind of like reiterated. And then I really, one of the things that really landed was, and I underlined the part, especially, I guess because I'm starting a new role, it's kind of like that reminder of like starting a new chapter, but it's like your employer, your clients, your friends, your colleagues, and your boss all need to hear from you. You're shooting yourself in the foot by not speaking up. You're also doing a disservice to the people you work with, your company's product, or your message when you stay quiet. You are valued because of your point of view, so you need to share it. And frankly, that's part of your job and the reason you were hired, or you started, or whatever the case is with whatever space you're in. And it's like, oh yeah, I love how it highlighted like there's a job or a company or a business or whatever you're supposed to have, but it's not just the doing. Like there's you also have to do like the PR around it, which is like bragging, right? Nobody's, especially if you can't afford a marketing team, like you need to, you know, speak up about your awesomeness so that way people can hear it and find it. And it was kind of reminding me of how it's kind of a challenge, especially when we grow up in like the Disney era of like savior complex, right? Somebody's going to save us. Somebody's going to see our awesomeness and like pluck us out of whatever, as long as we just work hard enough. And it's like, no, they ain't. Nobody is going to do that, right? Like nobody is going to hype you louder than you will hype you, right? And you teach others like how you want to be talked about by how you talk about yourself. So you want to get people to be hyped about you or brag about you, then like you need to start doing it yourself. So that was kind of, that list helped with the reframe, and was also like, oh yeah, duh, right?
Like it's like common sense, but we just don't. I think it's the one I think it was she talked about like the what bragging isn't, and kind of our lack of mentality thoughts, and it was on page 35 is that's not how I was raised, the statement, right? That's not how I was raised, or that's not just who I am on page 34. Like these are things that kind of pop up, or they don't see us. Right. And what triggered me in this book, or not triggered, I want to say what came out for me, or was that they were they were talking about all these people who get recognition, and sometimes they don't have the degrees or the experience or the like the award or just any really background to speak on behalf of a certain thing, but yet they brag about all their achievements. They brag about everything that comes up for them, even though they might not be the expert. But that's how they're getting an opportunity, because they know how to sell themselves. It's like that false prophet type of energy, right? Like they don't have the experience, but they're willing to like, it's that confidence and the ability to speak on themselves, right? Like, oh, I am this, I do this with confidence. And it comes down, I think it really does come that confidence. And that to me was like, she was like saying a lot of my clients, because she, refers to a lot of her clients in this book, but like, how they came to her and was like, I have degrees, I have awards, I have certifications, I've won Nobel Prizes, and I still don't feel like I don't get that recognition. And I was like, sometimes I feel like that, right? Like I feel like I've done all this work, but I don't get as much recognition as other people who have done like a quarter of what I've done. And it made, because those are thoughts that go through my head too, And when I read that, I was like, you know what? She's right. I don't really share a lot of my wins. Sometimes I like just forget that they happen. I celebrate them for like 10 minutes and I kind of just move on to what's next. And I don't sit in the present moment of what that win is, regardless if it's small or big. And so I know that's kind of in chapter 2, but I loved those thoughts, like looking at, like hearing the thoughts of others and her clients, and like why she questioned, like on page 24, she said, why do we give away our power in the name of good manners? So it's in the middle of the page, like, why do we give away our power just because we want to be polite? Right.
I actually put a note next to that, and I put good manners or oppression. Like, because what came to
Mm,
my mind was, why do we give away our power in the name of good manners? But it's actually like really, at least from like a Latina perspective, it's actually oppression. It's not just good
mhm.
manners. It's like oppression disguised as good manners, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think about it all the time, like, because we don't, and I love this book because I think this is going to be perfect for like anyone who's ready to like elevate into their higher selves and kind of just showcase their work and continue to build their brand. I think this is going to be great for us to all see,
Mm-hmm.
and I want us to hold each other accountable. So like if you're going to be posting on LinkedIn more about your progress and your careers and stuff, show me, let's just
Mm-hmm.
support each other, because I think that's a great way to start, right? Because this is more about like our professional careers, if that's what we're elevating, which I kind of know Tanasha's in medium situation. So I think that would be a
Mm-hmm.
great way for us to start practicing this, because in chapter 3, and I don't want to take much more of this time, I don't like going to the full hour, but there's a lot of exercises that we can start.
Mm-hmm.
And on page 42 and 43 is the first start to the like almost like the self work. And again, if you haven't finished, that's totally fine. This is more like a reflection for you to think about, but the question was, why are you here? Why are you even reading this book? Why do you want to brag better? What does the word brag mean to you? What thoughts and feelings do you experience when you hear the word brag? If the word brag brings up negative feelings, how would you describe them? You know, and then it kind of goes into, how can you ask for help in bragging, right? And I like that because it's almost asking ourselves, okay, if I explain this, if like I'm not really good at that and I know someone who is, how can I get their tips and tricks?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it even goes into page 44 where it goes, what have you done? And if you don't know what you've done, there's questions to help guide you. Like, list all your accomplishments over the last year. List your top accomplishments over the past 5 years. Include accomplishments that are outside of work. List any accomplishments for your previous employers that make you proud. And I'm like, this is a great thing to add to your LinkedIn. Like, this is great stuff to add to your LinkedIn profile, even if it's been 5 years from now or 1 year now from now, or
Mm-hmm.
it's all about just being, oh, I remember when I did this. It was one of the most important moments of my life, and I learned X, Y, and Z. I was so happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honored that I got that right. And when I was reading all of this, I'm like, I can use all of this material to help build my LinkedIn brand, right? And especially professionals, we're building a brand. Like Tanasha was saying, even though she's working for her investor, that's what we're calling her 9 to 5, her investor, she's still trying to build her brand within the company she's working for, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
your employees are going to know you, the founders are going to know you, or the executives might get to know you, or your managers, and then that could bring connections. What if you build connections outside of work for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are good things to, like, I think, start to build your brand even in LinkedIn. And that's what I thought of, like, all of it's about your self stats. And like, the thing that at the very end is constructing your brags, which is the way that you're going to word it to other individuals on page 49. So like a few of them that she put as an example is, I won this award because I landed 3 new accounts for my division. I earned this promotion because I managed 6 people, all of whom are happy and thriving. I'm in this panel because I have a regular call about the industry and I have unique opinions and experience. And one thing that I noticed here is that it was like 3, 6, 5, and it wasn't 1,000 people. I did,
Mm-hmm.
like, it was just small numbers, but they're big wins. You know what I mean? Because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I'm thinking about my like progress, I'm like, oh, but it wasn't like 1,000 people, or it wasn't a big amount of people. It was 25 people, or it was 3 people, or 4 people, but that's 3 people that we're impacting. That's
But it wasn't zero.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Have you guys gone through the chapter 3 and kind of thought about the kind of questions that came up?
Yes, and I feel like with those questions, it's going to be a really good exercise for me. I didn't do the exercises yet, but I did read it. And then also I like the part where it says check the box next to the adjective that applies to you, as far as like how would you want to describe your voice, how you want to be perceived when you when you communicate with people on page 52. And I think it's cool how she said like 10 years ago she picked different terms to describe her, and like now 10 years in she's choosing other ones. So I feel like I can always look back at this and see how I have excelled, and so doing that will definitely help me like come to terms with getting more comfortable and expressing my bragging. So I'm looking forward.
Yes.
Chapter 3 is like something that I'm like, okay, great. She gave us an exercise that we can actually do and practice and apply to our lives.
Yes.
So that's what I like about
I
it.
think this would be a great thing if we wanted to hold ourselves accountable, because I love, like, I think even Miriam knows in her last book clubs, we've always held ourselves accountable in some way, shape, or form, whether it was Think and Grow Rich Medium was trying to study for her real estate exam, and I was in the process of figuring out how I was going to start a bank. And I had no idea. Do you remember? I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. And here I am, like 6-7 months later, and I'm in the process of developing an app. So like, I don't even know how this is real, you know, like this is 6 months ago. But one thing that I would love to see from us is post on LinkedIn some of these things that we learn, because I think LinkedIn is a great way to build a professional connection and also be able to get, you know, either more clients or more recognition or opportunities, or even connect with others in your field that you like, okay, I can learn from them, or I would love to collaborate with them in one way, shape, or form, or host a workshop or whatever. Because I know connection is super important. Connection in order to get to our wildest dreams. And I think this is, for me, that's what I'm using it for. Like, I'm using this book to help me brag about who I am in order to build confident connections, because sometimes I underplay myself.
Yes, and you have to think about like wealthy people use other people and also ask for help like nothing. So it's so hard for us that are not at that level to either lend a hand for some people or like ask for help, but they're asking for almost not handouts because they work for it too, but like pretty much like knowing like that person can help them with XYZ. So they're just going to go to them because they have the confidence, they have like the knowledge, and they just know that you need people to get far in life. And like for us, it's kind of hard to grasp because we don't want to feel like an inconvenience. We're either not like super confident and asking people. And I feel like that's something that if we want to like aim for wealth one day, we got to get comfortable with just asking for help when we need it. If there's
that's 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yes. It has me thinking too. It's like, that's what actual community is though, right? It sucks that some of our like our internal dialogue, and especially as women, is like, oh, I don't want to be an inconvenience. I don't want to take up space. And like what we're actually doing every single time, like we don't speak up. And like, I even wrote that down there. It was just like, whoa, like a good reflection point for me is going to be, how many times did you abandon yourself by not speaking up today or this week or this month or this year, right? Because it's not just plain small. It's like, how did you literally abandon yourself? And even from like a healing perspective, it's like, if it helps to amplify that, thinking of my inner child, like picturing like 8-year-old Tanasha, like how did I abandon her this week by not like speaking up and bragging about myself? And that's like, oh, I don't want to do that, you know, like that just like levels it up a little bit more. But yeah, and also like I'm excited for this to shift, like to your point too. It's like reframing like what connection and community is, right? Because we can have a negative reframe for like wealthy people are just like, oh, they're always asking people for stuff and they're always this. And it's just like, what if that's how human beings are supposed to interact in community? And that's actually what we're supposed to be doing, you know, but just different, you know, life experiences kind of change that for us. And it's like, that's actually home. That's the base level that we need to get back to. It's not a secret. It's not anything. That's like actually home. And we just need like to find our way back to like, to that.
I think you're 100% correct, because with the generations of oppression and systemic barriers that have been set in place, we've already automatically kind of put ourselves to the side, and we already automatically lack opportunities because of systems set in place and because of their privileges. And even if it's not wealthy or just a white individual, they have access to things and connections and people that we might have never had access to from the beginning of our lifetime. You know, a lot of our parents didn't come from the United States, right? They came from a whole entire different country. And so being able to be like, you know what? That's something to be proud of, right? That's something to brag about. Like, I'm not even from here, but I got a degree. I'm not even from here, but I started a business. You know, like my ancestry line that is not this country. It has nothing to do with this, but I've been able to have these opportunities and be able to lean on one another. And I think that's what I've like. Miriam, you really brought up a good point, is that wealthy people, like, I think when you said that, I thought of like the Kardashian mom, what's her name? Kris Jenner, right? She is always networking for her kids. She is always finding the opportunity. She's always calling people up. Why do you think Bad Bunny has a relationship with freaking Kendall Jenner, right? Like, you know, like,
she is strategic.
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
right. So I think this is what we need to get comfortable with, is using our network and being able to say, you know what, I know Medium, she actually sells houses. We can leverage her for, you know, maybe a real estate workshop, or maybe she can help me buy a house. Or, you know what, I know Tanasha loves, you know, being intuitive, and maybe we can host a workshop. And we were talking about this last time, like, you know, finding these opportunities and being able to brag about ourselves and what we bring to the table in order to expand our network and our connection, our level of influence.
Mhm.
So that being said, I think thank you for attending our first book club session. I'm really inspired by chapter 3, because now 4, 5, and 6, when we in a few weeks, is all about just being loud and how to show, like, how to build on that brag and how to do it, and how to take up space and when you need to come first, which I'm really excited, because I always feel like you put last, because that's me being humble. So I think we have a lot of homework in the chapter 3 of like, okay, how am I going to be able to find the words that describe me? And how am I going to be able to brag a little bit more in the next 2 weeks? So I challenge you to think about how you guys can amplify yourselves a little bit more, whether it's posting on LinkedIn, Tanasha, that you got this new job and what you're excited to do in this role, whether Medium is posting on LinkedIn that you just, you know, earned your license and if you're looking for a job opportunity, or you're looking for, you know, connections, or, you know, finding a mentor, whatever you're looking for in your next steps to your career. I think this is a great way for us to kind of start, because I really want to figure out what my adjectives are for me too. So like, I really want to dive in to see what 3 adjectives am I going to use to describe myself for the next 3 months as I continue to read this book. So I'm really excited. Like I said, I've already tried implementing a lot of what I've learned in the first few chapters, because I started reading it like a month and a half, 2 months ago. And I kid you not, I've just applied it to my LinkedIn strategy, like just being able to like show more of my recognition. And even Tanasha said, "Girl, I saw your LinkedIn. You've been doing great." And I was like, okay, I'm doing something. Okay, it's working, you know?
Yes. Can I ask a question? Can I share? So intuitively, my why came to me while I was reading it, and I want to be held accountable and say this out loud. So why am I here, right? Why am I here reading the book Brag Better and part of this group? And I've had a through line for the past couple of years through like my trauma and healing work of this fear of my greatness, this visceral fear of my greatness. And it's come up that I have full awareness that I'm terrified of my greatness. And I hate that. I hate that feeling because it causes me to really dim my light. And so the reason why I'm here is I'm so freaking tired of dimming my light for other people. And I'm just ready to step fully into it, blind everybody. So that's why I'm here.
Yes.
And that's also on growth, all that inner work that you're doing. You're just like,
Yes.
yes. You're giving
well,
that little
thank you.
Tanasha a spot to like
Yes.
be like, yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
Yes, it's time that we pop out of our shell because, like I said, the systems of oppression really put us back into like, okay, pues yo no puedo porque soy o nací así or crecí aquí, you know, en pobreza or whatever, right? It reminds like what it reminds me of is when I used to when I was in college, I used to help translate for kids who only spoke English or Spanish, and I would help them learn how to read. And I remember one of the kids that I was helping, I wish I remembered his name, but he was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I study finance. I go to college and I work in finance." And he was like, I was like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And he's like, "Well, I only think I can work in construction because my dad works in construction." And he told me in Spanish. And it like broke my heart. I was like, you can have more, right? Like, you can learn how to do more. He's like, I don't know. I don't think we have money, you know? And this is like this 5-year-old, 7-year-old telling me like already his limiting belief
Oh,
started at that young age, right? And when we were talking about that, that's like automatically dimming our light. And like you were saying, Tanasha, you're healing that inner child of you that might have dimmed their light that same way of like, oh, I can't because I didn't have that, right? Or I don't know, I don't have money, right? And so let us talk to our inner child in a way that, hey, you can have these opportunities and you are the opportunity. And here we are becoming the opportunity. So I'm going to leave it at that. Does anyone have any questions for the first few chapters of Brag Better?
No, but I'm gonna practice it. I'm gonna practice it until our next book meeting. We all should have some new news for each other on how we bragged on something.
yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Sounds good.
I'll see you guys in the next 2 weeks. Luma has all the details on the calendar event, so it automatically will remind you when the next event comes. It's every 2 weeks on the same time. I used to do Wednesdays and Saturdays, but I was like, oh, it's just too much rotating one and the other. I realized late at night on Wednesdays was better for most people. So what I'm gonna do is I'll post this recording, and you'll get notified on Slack. For those who missed this call, you can rewatch this. Thank you for rewatching this and listening to us brag a little bit better in this call today. And we're all about accountability here in the Crecer Book Club because I'm really a strong believer in growth and doing that through not only learning and knowledge, but with action. So in every book club, we all like, there's always an action item within our book, like Think and Grow Rich. We all had a sticky note that I made everybody put like what their, like burning passion was and what money we wanted to receive, like manifestation. And I still have that sticky note on my my fridge because I'm waiting for that 10 mil because I said that I would have 10 million by like 2025. So I'm manifesting, growth, and I want us to have that kind of accountability. Like, what are we working towards when we finish this book, right? So whether that's building your LinkedIn strategy, whether that is promoting more around your colleagues in person or in your company, or like just building your brand if you're starting out doing that. So think about what your goal is going to be as you finish this book and what action you can take in the meantime. So I'll check in with you guys next week and in the Slack channel, and then I will see you guys on, I think let me check my calendar. It will be September. Let's see. Or October 4th will be our meeting. Dang, it's already the end of September. That's so scary. But we're entering spooky season.
Yes. Last quarter.
Yes, last quarter to go hard. This is the best time to promote yourself. So we're gonna end it strong. Does anyone have any comments, anything?
Nope. I'm so excited.
Alrighty. Okay, well, I'll see you guys in a few weeks, and thank you for joining the Crecer Book Club. And I hope you guys have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.